Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1. We would like to explain and present our review of comprehending the modern psychological novel, The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner, written by Yunita Widyantari and Judith Anantias. Our member is Rizky Aditya, Khoirun Nisa, Atmim Khuluqi, Dhito Dwipermadi, Indaha Rizqa, and myself, Bimo Santoso. That is our that is the member of this group. Now let's go to the why we select this article.
Okay, I would like to explain the first part is introduction, the background of study. Why we choose this novel? Because The Son of the Fury by William Faulkner is recognized as one of the most innovative and experimental American novel of modern era in 20th century. It contains innovative elements by an interesting story of tragic incident in a prominent family, that's the Compson family, which can provide a very touching lesson about the complexities of life. And it contains experimental elements by using extraordinary currents of flow and language that is incredibly very complicated. The Sound and the Fury novel is one of the hardest to understand novels because in some parts the plot and structure of the story that Faulkner wrote moves wildly irregularly, and of course it's not due to bad writing but for the benefit of the story itself. However, we still the story is interesting and touching. We choose this novel because we like the soul of youth. There are generally those who like challenges, so we like this novel. And we choose this article because the article contents are brief and clear. Although the story uses complex language that is difficult to understand, this article makes us understand the story. And the aim of this research is to show how tragic event can affect people's lives. Like I explained before, the story is very interesting, which can be touching and motivating us to face life's problems. That's all why the reason we choose this novel and articles.
Okay, the next is the strength. The first point of the strength this article, the abstract of this article has a strong point. Before reading a research article, people usually read the abstract first. The abstract in this article is very strong. The abstract provided an overview of the content and purpose of this article. It is very clear that is article wants to understand a modern psychological novel entitled The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. The abstract is not too long and also use Indonesian. Those of us who use Indonesian really like it because we can understand a little description of the content of this article. The second is the method used in the article is played well. The research method in this article use quality research methods. Data collecting in this method is carried out by reading literature related to this article. In our opinion, this method is a very appropriate method for analyzing a literary work because to get an information about a literary work, we have to read a literary work that is related to what we are going to analyze. The last point is the analyses are clear and well built. In this study, researchers analyzed a psychological novel entitled The Sound and the Fury. This novel is different from the other novel because it has four different point of view in each chapter of this novel. So to understand and interpret this novel requires concentration and patience. However, in this study, the researchers explained the content of this novel one by one in each section using language that was easy to understand, so that it is easier for us to understand the content of this novel. The analysis in this study is also very strong because the researchers found a result that this novel is a modern psychological novel because this novel describes the psychological condition of the narrators at the time. Okay, that's all the strength of this article. Next.
Okay, I would like to tell the weakness of this article. The first, the data about the novel was incomplete. The example for this problem is the insufficient data, such as the number of pages. The researchers didn't include the information about the page that actually have 326 pages. This became interesting problem because the page is one of information that should have become the main identity of the novel. The second, there are no evidence that follows their statement. The researchers should include any evidence to follow the statement to make readers understand and clear when the researchers explain in their article. If no, readers can be confused and start to think that the researcher just make their own opinion about the novel. Okay, next will be Mas Rizky to tell the weakness of this article.
Okay, the next weakness is the quotation is not marked. Yeah, and the suggestion you should put a sign like quotation mark or make the quotation italic so you can see the quotation. Next, there is no explanation as to why the researcher used the Son of the Fury as their object of study. The suggestion for the researcher, please give the reason why the researcher used the story of the Son of the Fury as the object of study. Okay, that's all from the weakness.
Okay, so for the conclusion for this presentation are from the background of the study, the novel The Sound and the Fury is one of the most innovative and experimental American novels of the modern era in the 20th century. Weakness and suggestion can be concluded that the research incomplete mention of the identity of William Faulkner novel, such as the number of pages. Besides that, the researcher doesn't include quotation from the novel in the study, which makes the reader less sure. And the researcher doesn't not include others people's opinion too. And then the reason for using the story title is not explained. So the research should provide clear quotation and provide reasons for the title being made. From the strength in this presentation, the the abstract used in this study is very clear and allows the reader to immediately draw the conclusion that the study described modern psychology in the novel The Sound and the Fury. The method used is correct, and the researcher can clearly explain each part on this novel. This is the presentation from our groups. I hope our presentation will be useful for you. Thanks for your watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.